Hi everyone, it's Eileen here. It's Sunday, so I've got another Lavinia Stamps video tutorial for you. And today I'm featuring a brand new stencil that was designed for Sweet Poppy Stencils by Tracy Dutton of Lavinia Stamps. And this is the absolutely gorgeous Sunny, a fabulous fox. And I'm using it in conjunction with two other foxes from the Lavinia Stamps range itself. One is Perry, P-E-R-I, and he's labelled as Fox 2 Perry. And I'm also using a word stamp here called Fairy Spells. But the second fox I've used here is from Fox Set 1. It's one of the smaller foxes, and they come in two sets, Sets 1 and Set 2. And I've used this one here from Fox Set number 1. Right, let's get going. Oh, plus another stencil here I've used. It's Ivy, and it's a Lavinia Stamp stencil. Multifarious cardstock, size A4. And I've folded it, creased it, and I've cut it to 20 centimetres in width by 12 centimetres in length. And it makes a nice base for this card because the stencil is quite large. I've got a magnetic sheet here, self-adhesive stuck to my self-healing mat, and I'm using a piece of copy paper plus the stencil. That's the first layer, and I'm using him this way round. You can go any way you like, but I'm using him this way round because the stamp that I want to use faces this way also, and it was good coordination. Now this time I'm using one of the brushes. I'm not pouncing through with the smoothie. I wanted to see how these would work. I did use a normal stencil brush with bristles. The stencil was too sharp, and by the time I'd finished, the stencil brush had had a shave. So I've gone back to these, and it seemed to work all right without doing any harm to the brush. And this is a Sweet Poppy stencil makeup brush. So I've placed the stencil down, but I am going to put some tape on because I don't want any ink to go out onto the cardstock itself, either top or bottom or either side. So, and just tape it up. This is Sweet Poppy Stencil's stencil tape. It is not a masking tape, and it doesn't damage the cardstock. Well, I've not known it to in any of the cardstock that I've used it with. Okay. Now the first colour that I'm putting on is Tumbled Glass. So inking up. Just check the brush is clean. The fact that I've got copy paper here is making my stencil move on the magnetic sheet. That's all right. So all that seems okay. The ink pad isn't very wet, so I'm applying a fair amount of pressure on the head of the stencil brush. Now be careful, I don't want to go underneath the stencil, so I'm going to stop with the circular motion and just come down and then up from the bottom. Mind your fingers, these stencils are very sharp because they're very detailed. So when you wash them, use a brush, a washing up brush to clean them off with. They are very sharp indeed, but it doesn't seem to be damaging my makeup brush. The hair or the bristles, whatever they are on here, I think they're synthetic, of course, are very dense, and this is what I like about them. I don't wash these, I only clean them on textured kitchen towel, and I keep them in colour groups. I've got an extra set at the moment, well, all the time I'm using just for oxides. Oxides don't like to be contaminated with other inks. Distress inks don't mind, but the oxide distress, they go, oh no, I don't like that. So I've got a whole new set that I use just for oxides and keep them just for oxides. But these I've used on Memento, I'm using them on distress inks, I've used them with archivals, and they don't seem to mind. And the inks don't seem to mind, as long as I've cleaned off the brush as much as I can before going on to the next colour. Except for yellow. Yellow doesn't like any other colour near it, so it shows off a bit. So I keep yellow, one for yellow, absolutely, just by itself. Right, so that's a nice amount of ink down there. Now I'm going to keep the same brush because I'm going to use just a small amount of faded jeans for a bit of shadow. I'm going on the head. Again, this ink pad is quite dry, which is good because there's more control when they're not too wet. No danger of leakage underneath the stencil. When they're too wet, they could leak a bit, the inks. So I think I've got enough there, coming down a bit from his body so that you can actually see the difference with the two colours of blue. And I think that I'll go with that. Oh, before I take this off, I want to put the stencil on, and I found, since I did the card yesterday, that to leave the stencil in place and just to take the other stencil made a lot more sense than taking the stainless steel stencil off. So this leaves me in no doubt that this ivy stencil will stay in the middle of the image and not go outside it. So I'm not using a makeup brush, I'm using one of these blending brushes, the round ones, and Wild Honey, because this is a Dib Dab Dob. A bit on his ear. I don't want to go all over his face. I'm going to do a bit on the ear. So let's have a look. You won't see the beauty of it until you take the stencil right off, which is what I'm doing now. I can get it off. There it comes. Like so. And then remove the stencil, and there we have it. A few stray bits of foam where the stencil, maybe the metal stencil, has caught it, and that's no matter. Let's move that stencil into water. It's distressing, so it won't take long to remove it. And then I don't need the matte anymore. What I do need now is my Misty. Those of you that watched my demonstration yesterday, I had a bit of a problem with the stamping. So today I've decided that I'm going to go for the Misty, just to ensure I get some really lovely clear stamped images. I'm just going to check that I'm in. Don't want to whack the microphone. It will blow your ears off. There we go. So I'm going to butt it up to the side and down to the bottom. I've got a few magnets holding it in place. Right, so that should do it. And it's where you can see it well. Okay, so I'm lifting this up. I have to hold it because my microphone, I have to turn it a while so that it doesn't give the microphone a whack. Versifying Claire Nocturne, and I have re-inked. Yes, lesson learned from yesterday. If you're not using a nice wet ink pad, then you're not going to get a clear image, and that was brought home to me yesterday. So today is going to be a little bit, I'm being more careful. Now, I want my stamps. Could put them both on together if you wanted to. But I'm using a magnet here where the other one image would be. So I'm going to start off with this one first. And this one is coming down. And it is over the legs. Up a little bit more, I think. It's around about there, I believe. The image was placed. So, oops, that will do. Press it down firmly. Check the card back in place. Right, now this is going to be a bit of a juggle. You have to bear with me, please, my dears. So I'm going to do the stamping, inking up now. This fox is very detailed. And there's some texture on his chest area and also on his tail, the brush. There are some really lovely bits of the design here. Intricate, detailed area. Right, that should be plenty of ink. Over we go. Just check it is butted up okay. Down. Let's check that you can see it. So I'll go up a little bit more. And then pressing firmly now. Much safer with the stamp press. And there it is, and you can just see that absolutely gorgeous detail in this area. And here I've got a couple of spots that I've missed, so I still need the pencil, but not as much as I did yesterday. And I'm not going to risk doing another image. I'm just going to colour over that and say that's it, because I think that is absolutely lovely. So leaving it in place, I'm now going to add, moving this over a little, I'm now going to put down the other stamp. Now I find it, and this is from Fox Set. Whoops. And this is from Fox Set 1. It hasn't got a name. These are 4 small foxes. There's Fox Set 1 and Fox Set 2. And some of these were the images that I used on yesterday's tutorial. And they are really lovely. Okay. So this one I wanted around about there. So he or she is gazing up in adoration at the beautiful Sunny. I'll pop it there. Okie dokie. So taking off and just giving a wipe with a damp cloth to this fox, Perry. I'll put him away safely. This one's ready to go. I'll bring it down. Pressing firmly. take it up, just check fingers are okay, and cardstock is butted up at the bottom and the side. Spin it round, you might lose me for a moment, and then back with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne, gentle tapping again. Okay, move this out of the way. Move this back into shot so that you can see, like so, down and press gently. All right, a little bit more. Lovely day here so far. Mind you, it's early days. It's about 11 in the morning, I think now. Well, we've got some snow here due at lunchtime in North Kent, but I don't think it's going to stay around according to the weather forecast. Be nice to see some snow. Okay. And again, another beautiful image with all that detail. Look at the detail around the bush. Oh, sorry, the brush. The brush and the chest and the back. She's so clever, Tracy Dutton, when she designs these animals. They are absolutely gorgeous. Right, next. If you look at this card, I have some words here, and I didn't put them this side, but I have now, and I'm going to include them both sides on this one, I think. Although I've moved over, the fox has moved over this way a little bit more on this one. I think the composition with the animals closer to each other here is better. There's not such a big gap. So I prefer this one so far to the composition of this one. But obviously the technique is exactly the same. It's just where you stick your stamps. I need my stamp mat, which I have, because I'm not going to use my MISTI for the words. And the words are Fairy Spells, I believe this is called. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's Fairy Spells. Can't find the, oh yes, here it is. Oh look, I was right. Fairy Spells. Different fonts, few words, different fonts, and they're really pretty. So I'm going to ink these up in the blue again, but I'm using a speckled egg this time as opposed to tumbled glass. And first generation, because it's distress ink. Plenty of ink. Quick wipe over this edge here. And then, oh, I do need, I'm going off the card, so I need copy paper, like so. I'm going to put this one here. I want to stand up because I want it to be straight. And that will do. Being distress ink, it's not very prominent, and that's what I'm after. I want it to stay in the background so that it adds interest rather than you can read all the words really clearly. So coming off the page a little more, so it's a different width than the other one. And then inking up again. If there's too much white space sometimes, you do need to fill it, and this was one of those occasions. So going out, there's a bit more. And then I'm going to do the other side as well. Just going over the top of the images, because this is distress ink, it won't disturb the integrity of the ink used here because it's darker, or the foxes. So it will sink into the background, which is what I'm after. But I don't want it so far out as those. So that's that one. Inking up again. And come in a bit more for that one. Try and keep it straight, but if you don't fret, because it will go into the background. It really won't notice that much. And then I'm going to do this one here. Hover over like so. That's it. Okay, now on the there's a couple more bits to do. You'll need the makeup brush again, and also tumbled glass again. So I can find that. That's Faded Jeans. And you'll also need one of these. Now, Tracy sells these. Lavinia Stamps website. And they are hills and mountains and streams, and it's in acetate, jolly useful masks, so that I'm going to ground both of or all of the animals here with this. So I'm using tumbled glass again, staying with the blue theme, and the makeup brush. So popping this on, I'm leaving it on my mat, on my stamp mat, and I just very gently going to come. Ooh, oh dear, that was green I've got now. Wrong makeup brush, never mind. So green is good. It's okay. I would choose green. If I was you, I'd go for green. But I'm not going to put it on quite as heavily as I did there. You hear my doggy barking there after the cat's next door. Right, and one there. I'm not going right along, just under the paws of the foxes, and getting lighter with less pressure as you go back. That doesn't look so bad. What I will do, just to bring it in though, to make it look as if I meant to do that, is take some Faded Jeans. A good tip is to, when you pick up a makeup brush, is to test what colour you've got on it. Just thought I'd throw that in there. And I'm just going to make that bottom stenciled or masked area a bit blue, and see if that will bring it in. Oh yes, it does, look. In fact, I'm going to try and eradicate more of the green, just very gently. Go over with the blue very gently. Yes, that's not bad. A bit more there. That's okay. You know, saying that, I quite like that now. I think it needs a bit more there though. A bit more blue. That's not bad at all. Right, the final thing before the dogs really go into full woofing mode at the cats, I'm going to very quickly apply some, I can find it, I had it here, liquid pearls and some glitter. I think I put the glitter away, which is a bit stupid, so just stay by your desk, don't move. And some glitter. Lavinia Stamps Moon Dust. They've got some new glitter out at the moment. I'm going to try some of that. It looks really good. But this is from their the range that they've had for a while. So let's have a go with this. Just going to squeeze out some of this liquid pearls. And the liquid pearls, it's silver pearl. Although when the glitter's on, it doesn't really matter what colour you use. Black might be a bit of a giveaway, but other than that, you can use what you want. There we go. Right, okay. So I'm trying to do tiny little dots just to add a bit of interest. Little raised dimensional dots coming up, getting smaller as they go up the card. Takes a bit of practice, but it's not that difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dots will do. And then using some of this glitter just to go over the top of the dots. And then pop that lid on. Down there we go. And that's it. Take it away from the snout there. Oh, I know why the dogs were barking now. The ferrets have been out. They're let out for an hour a day for a rampage around the house with us, keeping a very close eye on where they're going and what they're doing. And the dogs are locked in the bedroom because obviously dogs and ferrets, big no-no. And the ferrets have chicken strips which they hide, and the dogs can smell the chicken strips. And that's what they were barking for. They want to, oh, we want to get out and find those chicken strips that the ferrets have hidden. And that's what they've done. Okay. Right. Thank you for looking today. Thank you for being with me. I hope that you enjoyed that. So that's the card that I've just done. This is the card that I did earlier on. To be honest, I think the card that I've just done, I do prefer, especially the bottom green area. See you later. Bye for now. Thanks for looking. Ever so kind. Bye.